Alright, I've done some red touch-up paint on the wheels, and I reattached the headlight wire to the reverse unit there. Goes on that middle pin. So, now I can get started on reassembly. The first thing, of course, will be the frame piece here. Just slides on over the whole motor there. It screws in place. One thing I'd like to go ahead and point out is that with these 4-point mounting systems on these old tin plate trains, is while you're putting the frame on, it's a good idea to make sure it's absolutely level before continuing on to anything else, because if it's off even a little bit, then it can very easily make the entire body lean back or lean forward, and then it just looks a little bit awkward running down the track. And the next things to go on are the side frames. These just slip through slots in the frame, just like that, although they don't hold in yet. And to hold them in place, the pilots are screwed into each end. And it all stays together just like that. And I found those pilots are made of solid cast iron, so it's part of what gives these things so much weight and such a low center of gravity. And the last parts to go on are the front and rear couplers. Each coupler has one long screw going through a metal spacer, then there's the coupler, and then a nut to finish it off. And if that's all adjusted and tightens just right, then the couplers will practically just float back and forth in there without ever touching the top and bottom of the slot there. So that'll keep the paint from wearing out. And that's all there is to the frame. It is all assembled and ready to run. All it needs now is the body. Next up is assembling the detail to the body. I'm starting with the name and number plates here. They go in the 2 slots in the body. The 4000 goes on the left, the American Flyer on the right. Those are held in by the 2 tabs on the inside, bend over just like that. So those are easy. The original handrails and cotter pins were beyond usable, so I've ordered some new parts, which I have here. And I made an interesting discovery about the original handrails, and that's that the thickness of wire used was extremely inconsistent. On my 4000, the thickness ranged anywhere from 0.062 inches to 0.08 inches. So the correct size seems to be whatever you want to use, because obviously American Flyer didn't care. So I'll be using 0.062 wire. I've got the handrails cut out and bent into shape now. And to make these, the first thing I did was polish the wire, because if you wait until after bending them to polish it, then it makes it really difficult. And to make the smaller ones, I matched the length to the original railings and then bent that nice sharp angle using pliers. Then to make the longer ones, I actually bent these by hand, since the original railings had a kind of gentle curve to them, so that helped it to match the look of the originals a lot better. Now these are made of steel, so I'm going to be giving them a quick clear coat first to prevent any rust or tarnish. To mount the end railings, the new cotter pins were gently slipped over the wire, and then they drop through the holes in the shell, just like that. And then the 2 sides are bent outward to hold it in. And now to clip in the braces. These give the body its structure and they help to hold the roof in place. Just clip right into that lip there. And with that, the main body is finished. Headlight is held in place by a screw and a nut going through the body. You've got to make sure those are tight enough that the screw can make contact with the metal of the shell there. Otherwise the power won't go through the bracket and get to the light bulb. Then there will be no light, of course. And then just have to squeeze and clip this in there. While I was working on this, I accidentally damaged the red insert, so I just cut that into smaller pieces and glued it in place, and that'll still look fine. But the clear red material they use is pretty brittle, so you've got to be careful with those. The pantograph and bell fit on just like the headlight bracket, with a screw through the top and then a nut through the bottom. Last details to put on are the long roof railings. These are a little bit tricky when you're trying to avoid damaging a clear coat, so I started off putting in just these 5 here. Then once those were slipped in place, I put the end ones on both ends and slipped them into the shell at the same time, being real gentle. And then to finish them off, I started bending out the pins in the middle and then worked my way out in each direction. And that seems to have given some pretty good results. So I'll do the same for the other. Okay, the details are all on, and I went ahead and assembled the roof to the body. And the easiest way to do that is to put one side of the roof on over the lip that holds it in place, and then press down the other side until it's fully seated. So now I'm just going to give the headlight a quick test to make sure it's making good contact. I've got the leads hooked up there, and there it goes. So all I need to do is put the body on. For the headlight to work, I had to make sure every point where the body and frame meet has at least some contact so that the electricity has a clean path to go through. So it starts with the motor frame, has to go to the main frame here, down to the side frame where that screws into the body right here. Then the body has to get power to the roof and eventually to the headlight bracket. So there are quite a few points to check, and I did a quick short circuit test just to make sure everything was working. And now it is, so I can get on to the last of the reassembly. Got the headlight wire clipped in place, so all that's left is to put the body on. Slips right on there. Just gotta get that last screw on there nice and tight. And there it is, all restored and ready to go. All it needs now is a little test run. Okay, track's all hooked up, engine's ready to run, so let's see how it goes. And it runs perfect. Man, does that thing coast. For those of you who may not know how large standard gauge really is, here's an F3A in HO scale. A Lionel number 248, which is about the same as 027. A Lionel number 254, which is full size O. And then the standard gauge American Flyer. I'd say the difference in size is pretty significant. So aside from a little touch-up paint here and there, this restoration is finished. So for anyone else wanting to take on a similar project, I hope this video series has helped, and thanks for watching.